yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Yeah, we ran out of patience. Boil up with the cold hard hatred. I can feel the vibration. Feet in the streets, it's a new sensation. I wanna break faces on the pavement. I wanna make greatness look complacent. Adrenaline awakened, I can taste it. We can make an impact, grab and then take it. Like a disease, bring them to their knees. They fit their disease. Rage is like a weed. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm the one and only DJ Storms, and I would like to welcome each and every single one of you back here to a very special edition Tuesday stream. It is TGI Tuesday here on the DJ Storms brand, and you damn right, that is a thing. As of course, you already know who I am, Mr. Controversy and the operator of the best damn Twitter handle. No. Shit. Do you smell that? Yo. Do you know what that is? Oh, I want everyone to take a fucking whiff of that. Do you know what that is? Do you know what that is? I know he knows. I know he knows. Tell me, what is it?
Pure fucking excellence.
You're damn right, baby. Wait for it. Wait for it. Two-man guide. Woo! We getting down and dirty into the nitty and the gritty, and this is the official rewind for Ring of Honor, Death Before Dishonor 2023, which of course streamed live on Bleacher Report and the Watch Ring of Honor app and website last Friday from my home state of New Jersey, the capital of New Jersey, that being Trenton. Streamed live last Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. I was not there to watch it live. I was not there in person. I wasn't even doing the Lightning Flash update because I was in Austin, Texas for my cousin Andrew's bachelor party. Shout out to Andrew if he's watching. I had a damn good fucking time. Went bar hopping. I didn't drink, though. Nothing can break my focus. I didn't drink, though. I did the Daniel Garcia dance with a hot 30-year-old blonde. And then I went to have some nice Texas barbecue, some briskets, and some pulled pork. Am I making you hungry yet? I'm telling you, the barbecue in Texas just hits different. But now we're back to the grind. I'm streaming tonight. I'll be streaming on Thursday with my boy Habiki TMD to talk about NXT Great American Bash. And then I'm back this Saturday with the LFU. But tonight, I got with me good friend of mine, DJ Storm's posse member, Ring of Honor enthusiast, and going to help me break down everything that went down last Friday. Please help me welcome back to the channel once again. Second time within a month, I'm putting this motherfucker to work. HooliGrim, how you doing, my dog?
Good. How about yourself?
I'm hanging in there, man. Just trying to catch up on some sleep after I missed it over the weekend, but I had a damn good time. I was up until 3 in the fucking morning, I'm telling you. And Mr. James Punaseca, he knows. He's down in Texas himself. World's best barbecue. I know. Them fucking briskets are awesome. But I'm good. Thank you for asking. And I'm feeling good too because Tony Khan, man, even though I wasn't there live, we got ourselves a pretty damn good wrestling show. The crowd, a hell of a lot better than they were for Supercard. Not to say that Supercard was a bad show. We got some damn good wrestling on that show, but the crowd, I don't know what the fuck was going on, but the crowd was very, 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 very dead for at least 50% of that show. But New Jersey, no, we ain't like those fucking woke liberal schmucks. Well, we are. Well, most of New Jersey is a bunch of liberal schmucks, but we like our wrestling here in New Jersey. So the crowd for Trenton, we brought it, and we got a damn good show, especially those last 3 matches on the show, which really brought the show up a few notches. Nothing match of the year candidate worthy, but still at the end, Death Before Dishonor continued Tony Khan's hot streak, which he has been on double or weekly shows, Banger Dynamites, and then the debut of Collision, Forbidden Door, Into Blood and Guts, Death Before Dishonor. Even with all of the injury angles and even with all the bullshit surrounding Ring of Honor and not being a priority for Tony Khan and it kind of being just a show full of random matches, it's not necessarily terrible. It's a hell of a lot more bearable than watching Raw and SmackDown, but there's really nothing must-see about Ring of Honor TV. There's really no wow factor to Ring of Honor TV, but in the end, when it comes to pay-per-views, Tony Khan knows how to do pay-per-views. He did it right. Death Before Dishonor, we got a damn good wrestling show, and I'm very, very pleased with everything that we got overall. It wasn't a perfect show. There were a couple of things here and there. We're going to talk about that. We are going to break all this shit down starting at 0 hour, but obviously I want to throw it over to you. What were your thoughts on this overall show? How did the crowd sound? What was the best match of the night? Were the outcomes, for the most part, in your opinion, all right?
My first thoughts were, so normally I don't watch the pre-shows of anything, but I did this time because I was really, I don't know, anytime Ring of Honor puts on a show, I'm pretty excited that day. So the day was like dragging on and on because I was so excited to watch the show. And so I turned on the pre-show, the 0 hour or whatnot. And I was honestly, just first glance, and this might, I don't mean to ruffle feathers because I know it was in your hometown and stuff, but I thought I was watching Impact at first. No cap. Just because I was shocked at, I thought it was going to be a bigger, more people there,
Yeah, the problem is the fact that Tony Khan didn't have too much time to build this show, being that, he had to work around a lot of fucking injuries. But I think there was about 2,200, 2,300 people there.
Yeah, it was a much smaller venue than I was anticipating. So that threw me off. But by the time they got to that last 0 hour match, the crowd was lively. So
warm them up. You just got to warm them up.
Yeah. But overall, and then me like a noob, I was just telling you, I'll let the chat know. I missed the main event. So that's a real bummer for me because I'm sure that was probably, if not the match, one of the best 2 matches of the night from everything that I've heard.
It was Willow's best match.
Was it really?
It was Willow's best match. I would say that out of all 3 of the matches that they put on, this was their best match out of the 3 Willow and Athena matches, and it's not over. Based on the outcome, trust me, it's not over. And we're going to talk about that as well. But overall, man, Tony Khan, I'd say he did deliver, and he's riding a nice wave of momentum coming out of Blood and Guts and Death Before Dishonor, riding it into All In, and into All Out as well.
There was stuff that I liked across the 0 hour and the main show, and then there was some stuff that I wasn't a fan of. Overall, I'd say, Ring of Honor has been putting on bangers since Tony Khan resurrected the brand. So
yeah, we haven't had one bad Ring of Honor pay-per-view.
No.
Final Battle last year was still the best one. I would say if the crowd was just a little more energetic, then this show would have probably have outdone final battle. But last year's Death Before Dishonor, I feel, was better than this year's. Regardless, look, they touted it. It was the largest New Jersey crowd for Ring of Honor history. I guess that constitutes to something. So we got that, but we're going to talk about everything and where all these individuals are going to go. First things first, where can everybody find you on social media?
At HooliGrim. WHO_LA_Grim on Twitter.
Go check that out. It is in the description right now. Of course, I am all over the fucking place. Wherever you look, this beautiful face is plastered everywhere across the IWC. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at HistoryMakerDJS. That is at HistoryMakerDJS, and I will put the banner up for you guys right now. That way you can see as the people are filing in. We got Sarah Habka, we got MK3 Kratos, we got Danielle.
That's Kratos. He's eating pizza in the chat, making me hungry.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I just fucking had some chicken soup and some chicken poppers in the oven, and now he's already making me hungry. And of course, we got my girl Billy Wolf. I'll be seeing her in a couple weeks at the Wrestling Express meetup in Clifton, New Jersey, Pub House 46. We are going to watch SummerSlam with the peeps over at Wrestling Express, Anthony Kareem and Tommy McGrogan and Glenn Davidson, Jess as well. We're going to watch SummerSlam with all the Wrestling Express peeps, so I can't wait for that in less than 2 weeks' time. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at HistoryMakerDJS. You can add me on Facebook. For collaborations and business inquiries, please send me an email. My email is, of course, StormsTakeOver@gmail.com, like the official DJ Storms business page. I may just send you an invite to join the official DJ Storms Posse group on Facebook. We are streaming live on my Twitter, Hardcore Sports Twitter, Hardcore Sports YouTube channel, my YouTube channel, DJ Storms Posse Facebook group, and my personal Facebook. And we have got a lot to talk about here, so if you're filing in and you're ready to discuss some Ring of Honor, Death Before Dishonor, please make sure that you hit the like button on the stream and share it out on all platforms of social media, whether it be Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, Tumblr, Snapchat, TikTok, whatever social media platforms that you may be using, so that way everyone gets a little dose of DJ Storms and HooliGrim. I'm back to the grind, and I'm going to be collaborating with a lot of people over the course of the next couple of weeks, including a Bicky TMD, like I mentioned. And then we got my girl, Billy Wolf. She's going to be coming on the channel on Thursday, August 3rd, for the rundown for SummerSlam. And then August 6th, the Sunday following SummerSlam, Earl Cole's coming back on the channel. Earl Cole Bay coming back on the channel for the rewind for SummerSlam 2023. Set your calendar dates for all of these streams. Of course, please make sure that you hit the subscribe button, whether you're watching on my YouTube channel or the Hardcore Sports YouTube channel. We are looking to be the #1 brand in sports analytics is Hardcore Sports. Please make sure you share it out and get as many people in here as possible and hit the subscribe button. We're on the road to 800 subs for Hardcore Sports, and we're on the road to 2,200 subs for your boy, DJ Shizzle Dizzle. Please make sure you do that and hit that notifications bell with a huge coup de grace, because that way you're going to know whenever I pop up on YouTube. Because whenever I pop up on YouTube, oh, baby, it is the best time to be on YouTube. And do you know why? It's because it's the only time that you're going to get to see this, oh, so glorious sideburn chin strap combination and this beautiful mustache right here. You know what time it is. We're going to bring out this beautifully crafted black ace comb. Absolutely unbreakable. And we're going to let it up right here on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube, with a little and a dash of and a whole lot of because like a fresh, hotly brewed Campbell's chicken noodle possibilities. I am just so good. I'm the tastiest snack in the IWC, and everybody wants a piece of the Stormsmeister. Everyone should know this by now. If you don't, I mean, you got to get with the fucking program. Anyway, enough of the chit chat, enough of these self-brand promotion advertisements. We're going to get right into the show. We're going to start with 0 Hour. Pretty decent 0 Hour. We had some damn good matches for the short amount of time that they went. And in total, I would say that the 0 Hour pretty much served its purpose. I wouldn't say it was the best 0 Hour that they did. I actually thought that the 0 Hour for Final Battle was very good, especially that match between Top Flight and the Kingdom. I definitely hope that Top Flight comes back soon because when Dante Martin gets back, him, Darius, and Andretti are going to be a great trio, and they could do some serious damage in Ring of Honor. But let's start off with Josh Woods versus Tracy Williams. This was a pure wrestling rules match. Decent little match right here. Nothing over the top, nothing crazy, but Josh Woods, he is growing on me. He's very much growing on me, and I'm liking what he's been doing recently. And in the end, Josh Woods ends up winning this. So it was very technical early on. Woods was getting Williams to use his rope breaks early on. He used 2 rope breaks within the first 2 minutes. Woods then with a gut wrench suplex off the middle rope for a 2. Williams then came back with a teardrop suplex and a neck lock suplex into the buckle. Pump handle fisherman driver for a 2. We had a discus lariat by Williams and a pile driver. Woods got his foot on the rope. Woods then with a punt knee and a gut wrench power bomb for a 2. Woods then locked in a gorilla lock, which is pretty much an inverted figure 4. And then Williams, he exhausted his 3rd and final rope break. Woods then took advantage of this and delivered a German suplex to Williams on the apron, and Woods with a guillotine in the ropes, and it was legal because you only get 3 rope breaks in a pure wrestling rules match, and Williams had to tap out. Josh Woods, he taps out Williams, wins the first match on the show. Decent little match over here. Again, nothing too crazy, and it looks like we could have our next challenger for the Pure Championship based on what happened on the main show with Shibata and Garcia. That actually kind of shocked me a bit, and we're going to talk about it, but I didn't really think too much of this match, but the outcome of this match kind of gave away the outcome of the Pure Championship match, even though none of us really realized it. But regardless, Josh Woods wins. He's growing on me, and it was just a decent little match that ultimately it's not going to be remembered, but they did okay. What were your thoughts on this match?
So I wrote down on my notes that Josh Woods is he looks pretty powerful in the ring. He hits pretty hard. And when I'm watching him, I feel like I'm watching a guy that's made his transition from like the UFC to pro wrestling. For some reason, every time I see Josh Woods, I keep thinking like, oh yeah, the MMA fighter. And I'm like, wait, was he even ever an MMA fighter? I don't know why I even think that.
He does look like
that. He has that kind of look about him, but then also in the face, I mean, he looks like he could be Bobby Roode's son.
Yeah, I didn't really realize it, but now that you mention it, he does. But would you say this was the right outcome as far as this match goes?
I think if they're setting Josh Woods up to, like you said, compete for the Pure Championship or to push him in that direction, then yeah, I was kind of rooting just anybody with the nickname Hot Sauce. Like I was wanting him to win just because of his nickname alone. But that guillotine in the ropes was nasty. I mean, I'm not surprised.
Got really nice gut wrench suplexes. He could give Claudio a run for his money.
Yeah, and I think that if they I think they know what they're doing with Josh Woods, and hopefully we get to see more of him in the future.
He's got a decent little shtick going on. I just really wish that Tony Nese and Daivari would get a little bit more serious. Like Tony Nese has got this personal trainer gimmick where he's pretty much mocking people for being fat slobs, which I have no problem with. It reminds me of myself because he's had some funny one-liners. I will say that. He goes, "We're going to do squats," that thing that you do on the bowl after you had too many hot dogs. I actually thought that line was very nice by Tony Nese, but it seems as though Josh Woods is the only serious one out of the varsity athletes. But I'd like to hope that will change, and it looks like we have our next challenger for the Pure Championship, which I have no issue with because Josh Woods, he is very good in his own right. However, I don't really think he's going anywhere. I think he is pretty much in the Scorpio Sky role right now, where he's good, but there's so many people who are ahead of him. Not to
Oh
say
yeah.
that
When I was speaking like, maybe a handful of 2-3 years down the line from now.
we'll see what happens, but Josh Woods beats Tracy Williams, pure wrestling rules match, and it looks like we have our next challenger for Katsuyori Shibata. We go into the Workhorsemen versus Action Andretti and Darius Martin, and I'm actually liking this tag team of Action Andretti and Darius Martin. It was probably the best place for Action Andretti to be, and when Dante comes back, they got a nice little trio going for themselves. This was probably the second best match on the 0 hour, and it only went about 8 minutes, but it was a damn good match for 8 minutes. I will say that. They made the most with the time that they were given. So the Workhorsemen went right on the attack. Henry with a double stomp, uppercut by Drake to Andretti. Martin was isolated. We had a nice back suplex powerbomb combo by the Workhorsemen for a 2. Martin then tagged in Andretti. We had a body scissor Hurricane Rana, double bulldog by Andretti, running shooting star for a 2. We had a tag back to Martin, pop up by Henry, and Andretti caught Drake into a falling DDT for a 2, which looked very nice. Tag back made to Dante Martin. Workhorseman took over. We had a stomp by Henry and JD Drake with a moonsault, the 300-pounder with a fucking picture-perfect moonsault. He got it. And Andretti slammed Henry onto Drake to save the match. That was a very nice spot there. We had a German suplex by Henry, tag to Andretti, super kick by Martin. Andretti then got Drake up in a torture rack neck breaker with a little assist from Dante Martin, and that was enough to get the win. 1, 2, 3. For 8 minutes, man, this was a damn good tag team match. And if you want to put Andretti and Darius Martin in the hunt for the tag team titles in Ring of Honor for a one-off with the champions, I would not mind that because they are pretty damn fun to watch. And it's only going to get better when Dante gets back. I think they stumbled upon something that really shouldn't have happened with the injury to Dante Martin, but it could very well be one of the best things for Top Flight and Action Andretti. It's a very nice spot for them overall. I wasn't really too keen on it, but as time went on, I'm like, all right, you know what? This could actually work. And for 8 minutes, man, pretty damn good tag team match. Wasn't crazy, but it was pretty damn good.
I agree. Poor Darius, everybody's been calling him Dante all week, but I feel like Action Andretti I was thinking the exact same thing watching this match as you just said at the beginning about they got a nice little trio combo going. When Dante comes back, they can mix and match each other, and Action Andretti can do singles if he wants, and they can do trios if they want to. They can do tag if they want to. They're really fun to watch. They're for as young as them kids are. You can just see that they got a bright future ahead of them.
And the best part about it, I do believe, is even though it's not a major priority, in the end, Ring of Honor is giving a lot of opportunities to a lot of younger individuals signed by Tony Khan. And that right there is probably the best thing to come out of Ring of Honor because you got the main stars on Dynamite and Collision, and then sometimes Rampage as well. And then you got Ring of Honor. And there's a lot of young talent on Ring of Honor. Obviously, you got the veterans and shit like that. But when Ring of Honor showcases its young talent, you can definitely see that these guys are the fucking future. And Action Andretti and Darius Martin, they are the future.
Yeah, Ring of Honor is kind of like, Tony Khan's pretty much treating it like it's his NXT. It's his developmental.
Yes, and as he should be. And he's keeping it alive. He's keeping it afloat. And the champions, for the most part, the champions right now are the veterans. And when the veterans are done, the new generation, they're going to win Ring of Honor Gold, and they're going to move on to bigger and better things after that.
Yeah, so it's a perfect spot for three guys like Darius, Dante, and Action Andretti to continue getting better in the ring, and they still get some shine. They still get, their name out there in the public eye a little bit for people to see them. And 3, 4, 5 years from now, we'll probably be seeing them on Dynamite, as part of the main roster.
And what's crazy is Action Andretti's only been wrestling for 3 years.
Yeah, he's really good.
He's only been wrestling for 3 years, and he's this damn good.
Even when he came out in his entrance, he kind of just. I felt like he had more of a presence Friday night than the first time I saw him. So I could even tell, even his. However, you develop a presence, I'm not really sure what you do behind
It
the
all
scenes,
comes with confidence, I believe.
right? And you could
He's
just see it,
definitely
like when
getting
he
more
came out.
confident, especially in this tag team.
Yeah, I
But that
agree.
was pretty damn good for what it was, and the right team won here. We had legit Layla Hirsch versus Trish Adora, and Layla Hirsch, she is not doing too bad for herself. She came back. She looks good. Doesn't look like the knees bothering her. Trish Adora, I've actually been liking a lot. I think Trish Adora has actually got a very nice look to her, and she actually can wrestle. She hits hard. When she's in there, she can hit hard. Decent little fight right here between these two. Obviously, this was nothing more than the obligatory second women's match on the show. In the end, Hirsch won. Hirsch, she came in with a shotgun drop kick. Adora came in with a backbreaker. Hirsch and Adora traded pins towards the end, and Layla Hirsch then wrenched back with the arm breaker, and Trish Adora tapped pretty quickly. This was pretty predictable from my end because, if anything, I actually thought that the outcome of this match was going to predict the outcome of the main event, which actually didn't happen. So I guess they may be holding off on Layla Hirsch challenging for the women's title. But afterwards, Hirsch continued the assault on Trish Adora before Sky Blue came out to assist. So Sky Blue, obviously, she is yet another talent that is being heavily showcased on AEW and Ring of Honor as well. And we'll see what the future is in store for Sky Blue. What were your thoughts on this match? I would probably say, if anything, this was probably the weakest match of the night.
Well, I don't want to shit on anybody's effort that they put out in the ring, but I did not give two single fucks about this match, if I'm being honest. And
it wasn't really much of anything.
I never cared for legit Layla Hirsch.
It wasn't bad. It was just kind of there.
And I don't know what her purpose is. I don't know enough about Trish Adora to be able to comment on her, because this was literally the first time I've ever laid eyes on Trish.
I've been watching her on Ring of Honor. She's not bad. I think she's actually what Big Swole should have been.
Okay. I just have never seen her until the show. I haven't been keeping up with weekly Ring of Honor too much nonsense.
I gotta get back into it because I have not had the time recently. But again, it was just there. Probably the weakest match of the night overall. And
I mean, it was all right. You know, I think that I'll say this: Layla Hirsch to me has definitely improved since I remember seeing her in the early days of AEW when Dynamite first became a thing. The whole thing with Sky Blue coming out, I was just kind of like, already we're having a surprise run-in and it's 0 hour. I'm like, well, what's going on here? Like, why?
I think that Sky Blue, I think they're trying to keep Sky Blue in the public spotlight because she recently just lost to Athena a couple of months ago because she had a Ring of Honor women's title match against Athena, and she was unsuccessful, as she should be, because Athena right now is a fucking beast. A beast.
Has Sky Blue not been on AEW TV?
She has been on AEW TV. She's been putting on some damn good matches with Tony Storm and Ruby Soho.
Yeah, that's why I don't even know why have her do, like, I was kind of confused.
Well, I think it's because like they have heavy plans to push her. The one thing with Tony Khan is he's trying to develop new stars, and right now the top two new stars in the women's division he's looking to push is Willow Nightingale, obviously, and Sky Blue. Willow's obviously been getting more of the shine, but Sky Blue, I would say that he's just trying to get her name out there and trying to keep her in the public spotlight as much as possible so she doesn't fizzle out.
Gotcha.
That's my logic behind it.
I can see that.
But after that match, again, weakest match of the night, we move into the best match of the 0 hour, which was AR Fox versus Shane Taylor. This was very, very, very good. Matter
This
of
is when
fact,
the crowd woke up.
yeah, if you were to take this match and put it in the place of the Embassy versus Master Wato, what was it? Ryusuke Taguchi and Leon Ruffin, and you would have switched the 6-man tag team match to the pre-show, I wouldn't have minded, because AR Fox and Shane Taylor, they delivered a damn good fucking match for 10 and a half minutes that they were given. AR Fox, I don't know what it is about him, but he's like another version of Ricochet. Holy shit. Yeah,
Well, he was also, they were both in Lucha Underground.
What did you say?
They were both in Lucha Underground.
They were, yeah. I don't think I've ever seen AR Fox botch once. And
he's really good.
That he do some of the shit that he do is even crazier than Ricochet.
Yeah, facts.
And he doesn't even botch once.
No, he's so smooth, everything that he does.
And Shane Taylor, I mean, hey, look, Shane Taylor's got one hell of a presence. Shane Taylor can fucking wrestle for sure. So
yeah, it's a big dude.
Fox came in. He came in hot with a big plancha over the top rope, Undertaker-like dive. He went back for another dive. He delivered a tope con hero. Taylor then caught Fox into a flatliner for a 2. Taylor then with an open hand chop, and you heard that shit too. He chopped pretty fucking hard. He then beeled Fox across the ring. Fox then with an implosion 450 senton on Taylor to the floor. Fox then with a stunner out of the corner, Swift and Zaguri. Taylor then with a Uranagi and a big splash for a 2. Fox then with a code breaker and a seesaw DDT off the ropes. That got a 2 count. Fox with a low cutter and then a springboard high cutter, but the high cutter was caught. And Shane Taylor then hit Welcome to the Land, which is a Samoan driver, almost like a sit-out pile driver, kind of like the Dante's Inferno move that the House of Black uses. And Fox was able to grab the rope. Fans were chanting, "This is awesome." Fox actually picked up Shane Taylor, picked him up, and delivered a perfect rolling senton, went up to the top rope, delivered a 450 splash, and Fox beat Shane Taylor. And Fox goes into Dynamite tomorrow to fight Orange Cassidy for the International Championship, which is going to be a damn good fucking match. AR Fox, man, he is fucking fantastic. And you give him some more time, holy shit. If AR Fox is not at least a Ring of Honor champion, no matter what title it may be, they're fucking doing something wrong. AR Fox is fucking fantastic, man.
This, I wasn't sure when you brought up the Leon Ruff and the other guys in that match, why this was on the 0 hour and that match was even on the card to begin with. I'm at a loss because this match was
I feel like it was on the card because it was a title match and they wanted to continue the Embassy's reign of dominance. Because, listen, no one's beating that fucking group. Not now.
We'll talk about that when we get to that part of the show because I got a lot to say about that match. But AR Fox and Shane Taylor, I knew was going to be good just hearing their 2 names. I didn't even know they were going to be on the 0 hour when I was watching it. And then when they came out, I was like, oh, I sat up in my chair and I'm like, okay, here we go. You know, that there was at one point, I think, I don't know who was applying the high wrist lock. Shane Taylor, I think, had a high wrist lock on, or Dante had a, AR, sorry, I keep calling him Dante because I think he was Dante Fox in Lucha Underground, but AR Fox had like a high wrist lock on Shane Taylor, and then Shane Taylor like countered it into like I think it was what you call the flatliner or some kind of face plant, and I thought I'd never seen that kind of counter before, and I thought that was pretty. I always think it's nifty when I see something new in wrestling at this stage in my life. But that 450 splash, like AR Fox is just everything he does, even how he gets up on the ropes is smooth. He's just, it's like a feather just floating around in the wind. You know what I mean? It's like, how do you learn to, he's graceful when he's doing that shit, you know?
It's unbelievable. And Shane Taylor, by the way, You could not pay me all the money in the world to take a big splash from Shane Taylor, and you could not pay me all the money in the world to have me take a welcome to the land. Fuck that.
You couldn't pay me enough money to take a right hook from Shane Taylor either. The sounds that his punches were making was nuts.
That fucking guy, man. Holy shit. That fucking guy. He's a tough motherfucker.
My favorite spot of this whole match was, I think AR Fox was on the top rope, and I don't remember if he jumped into the ring or if he did the move to the outside of the ring. He was like, I think he was in the middle of the ropes facing inward, but he did like an inverted like senton. He like,
it was an implosion. It was an implosion 450 senton to the outside.
I've never seen that before in wrestling. Never.
That's why I said crazier shit than Ricochet.
The fact that he inverted that, and like, I mean, his whole momentum, he's going backwards, but throwing himself forward. And I'm like, there's not a lot of room for error doing a spot like that. So that was just to me, that was like, wow, what a show of athleticism that was.
But yeah, this was very good, man. Very, very good stuff. And, Ring of Honor, this is what Ring of Honor is about. Two guys like this. Even if it was on 0 Hour. I
literally, after the match was over, I was like, well, this could have been on the main freaking show.
Great stuff right there, man. But pretty decent 0 Hour. Not too bad.
I thought so. Given what we're normally used to when it comes to pre-shows, the pile of shit we're fed from the other company on a regular basis, this was actually pretty decent.
Any matches on their pre-shows.
Are they not doing pre-shows? Oh, anyways, we'll talk about them.
They don't do pre-show matches anymore. I don't think we've had a pre-show match since Clash of the Castle.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's how. Yeah, I never really watched.
WWE doesn't treat the pre-show right. AEW and Ring of Honor, they treat their pre-shows right.
Yeah, it was a decent pre-show, especially the way that it ended, because the crowd was kind of quiet. Like they were getting louder as it went on, but by that third match, it was like, okay, they're here now. Let's go.
Yeah, the crowd for the most part was awesome. And the setup was very nice too. I have to say, the setup was the one thing that I would say is one of the best positives about Ring of Honor right now, even though it's not a top priority and it's not must-see, is when it comes to their pay-per-views, Tony Khan has the setup right. It's dark, it's gritty, it's you got the spotlight on the ring, it's black and red. That's pro wrestling right there. It's got a pro wrestling feel, and that's what I loved about it.
You know what it reminds me of is the very first NXT show I went to that came here to Portland. They did it like Theater in the Cloud style. So they cut off most of the arena and they move everything close. Normally the ring is like going to be in the middle of the floor, right? With all the fans around it and bleacher chairs. But when they do Theater of the Clouds, they cut off like half of the arena and bring everything forward. So it gives it a more like intimate, you feel closer to the action type of feel. And that's kind of what the set for this show reminded me of.
Yes. And you know what? Keep doing that. That's what makes Ring of Honor dark and nitty and gritty. So the main show, now we started to get into the real meat and potatoes. The main show kicked off with Commander versus Gravity. And for those of you who do not know, Gravity is the younger brother of Bandito. Bandito right now is nursing a broken wrist. He will be out for another 3 months. So thoughts and prayers to Bandito, because Bandito, he's fucking amazing. He's probably one of the most well-rounded luchadors in the world right now. But this match went about 10 and a half minutes, and this was fun. This wasn't a match of the year candidate by any stretch of the imagination, but for the 10 minutes that it went, it was fun. I wasn't expecting this match to kick off the show, but regardless, I wasn't really complaining. So we had some nice back and forth early on. We had a nice bridge pin by Gravity for a 2. Commander took over with a punt kick and a beautiful tope con hero. A picture-perfect shooting star press. Gravity was able to kick out. Gravity, he did an inverted flip into the buckle. It's like he did the Shawn Michaels flip into the buckle, but instead of falling back, he pushed himself forward and just launched himself by his palms of his hands over the post. He just barely missed the post onto Commander, and they went sailing into the barricade. So I actually thought that was pretty nice. He's trying to mix it up. He's trying to get a little creative with some shit. So I didn't mind that. Afterwards, Commander then with a moonsault, but Gravity got the feet up. Gravity with a sit-out powerbomb for a 2. Crowd was getting behind Gravity. Gravity then with a deadlift sit-out powerbomb for a 2. Spin kick by Commander. Commander triple jump, twisting plancha over the top rope onto Gravity. Beautiful stuff, man. Commander is fucking amazing. Commander may be one of the most underrated luchadors in the world. If Bandito is one of the most well-rounded, Commander is one of the most underrated, because I do not see enough appreciation for Commander. He is very good at what he does. So after that, Commander went up to the top, and Commander, he was caught on the top. Gravity, he went up to the top. He hooked the wrist. He locked in a wrist lock, and he just fell back as if he was falling into space. And Commander fell into an avalanche wrist lock, and that got a 2 count. Commander then came back with a tightrope walk, springboard moonsault for a 2, which was fucking graceful as shit. Great near fall right there. Commander wasted no time. Top rope Frankensteiner connects. Commander, I believe, was going for the rope walk shooting star press, but before he could even get to the ropes, Gravity came out of nowhere with a small package, and Gravity rolls up Commander for the quick win, and Gravity wins a rather fun match to start off the show. I wasn't expecting it to kick off the show, but in the end, I was not complaining. Now, a couple of things. Gravity, he's a bit rough around the edges. It's going to take a little bit more time for Gravity to, I guess kind of get used to everything with Ring of Honor and shit. But regardless, he's not bad. I don't want people to misconstrue what I'm saying and say that he's bad. I'm just saying Commander is obviously the better luchador. Obviously, Gravity is going to learn. He's going to get better as time goes on. But in a match where Commander really should have won, if you think about it, I didn't mind Gravity winning. And I'll tell you why. Aside from the fact that Gravity is facing Pac on Dynamite tomorrow, which I'm actually very much looking forward to because I want to see how Gravity handles himself. The one thing about this match that I noticed was it was almost like the experienced Lion in Commander was taking on the young Lion, the up-and-comer in Gravity, and for, I would like to say, maybe 60-70% of this match, Commander was in control, and Gravity was kind of playing catch-up. Gravity was kind of the come-from-behind babyface in this, and Commander, he was the experienced veteran, and in the end, Gravity, he just kept kicking out and kicking out and kicking out. Gravity would not stay down. And that aspect of the match created a nice story where Commander was just so frustrated that he kept on going for big move after big move after big move, and he couldn't put Gravity away. And then when Commander least expected it, Gravity, the least experienced Lion, got the victory over the experienced Lion in Commander. So I didn't mind that. I actually thought that little story aspect of the match, I actually liked that. So I didn't mind Gravity coming out victorious here against Commander, but obviously Gravity, as Mr. James Punaseca pointed out in the chat, he is just not polished yet, but he will get there. But again, fun match, and Gravity gets the win over the much better luchador, that being Commander. But I'm going to toss it over to you, HooliGrim.
I knew you were going to mention that he was the younger brother of Bandito. I made it a point to write that down in my notes because I felt like that was something that you would have done. So,
smart man. That's why I have you on the channel.
The opening sequence was great. That started off the match and that had the crowd chanting Lucha Libre right off the bat. There was early on, Commander did this elevated shooting star press that was like, the air that he got on that thing was stupid. I mean, it was stupid in a good way. Like, it was just mind-boggling. That stood out to me. Gravity, like this is how I know, like, I'm plugged in with the right people, because when you just described Gravity running into the corner turnbuckle like he did, the very first thing I thought was, holy shit, he did the Shawn Michaels.
Yes.
right? So you described it as the same thing. I'm like, oh, okay, good. I know I'm where I'm supposed to be. But I actually thought maybe he botched it because the way that Michaels would hit the ropes, when he would throw himself, into like that somersault position and hit the turnbuckle upside down, his feet would carry him over to the side and he'd go slumping out to the floor on the outside. And I thought maybe Gravity was attempting to, in one smooth motion, once he got upside down, his momentum was supposed to carry him into a seated position that he could then launch over the post with, but he kind of looked like he got stuck a little bit. And I kind of got that vibe too. Like, I don't know how many, like how used to the American style Gravity is, but maybe he just hasn't worked that many matches here yet. And there might be maybe some language barrier, but obviously Commander knows Spanish. But I just felt like you said, like Gravity, I don't know if green's the word I'm looking for, or just he just seemed
he's not green. He's just
like his timing was a little off a little bit.
He's just not experienced.
But I was shocked that they had him win. But I kind of got the feeling the whole match that they were going to have him win, just because of the whole mention of him being Bandito's little brother. And I don't really know why I got the vibe that I thought he was going to win from the get-go, but the ending where Gravity counters Commander with that rope walk moonsault into the Super Steiner, that whole sequence, and then Gravity counters that with the roll up was pretty incredible. So I was okay with the outcome.
Yeah, and again, it's stories like that and the little nuances that are going to make people get behind a certain wrestler. So in the end, the least experienced luchador gets the victory over the more experienced luchador. I guess they were kind of trying to have it being painted in the same light that Vikingo and Commander had at Supercard, which was that was easily one of the best matches of the entire WrestleMania weekend. Vikingo and Commander, that was awesome. But obviously, this was not as good. But I didn't mind Gravity getting the win either, and I'm actually interested in seeing how he handles himself against Pac. But
so how did he end up? How did he end up getting a match? Because obviously, if he loses this match with Commander, and they're advertising that he's got a match with Pac on Dynamite, well, you can't have Gravity lose in his pretty much
they
debut.
Advertised it after Gravity won.
Did they really?
Yeah, they did.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought they said something about it before. Like during the match, I thought I heard him say something.
No. They were just talking about how he was the younger brother of Bandito. But I do believe that Bandito is going to teach his younger brother a bit more tricks. But for now, little rough around the edges, not polished, not experienced, but not to say he's bad. Not to say he's bad. He's good. He will get better. So I did not mind him taking the win here. Commander, let me tell you something. Commander's another one, just like AR Fox. If this guy is not at least a champion in Ring of Honor, they're doing something wrong, because Commander's fucking amazing, dude.
AEW's got a lot of good Lucha Libre wrestlers, man.
It's like the home for Lucha Libre, dude. It really is.
Since they're tapped in with AAA, they've got the pipeline right to. It's like watching Monday Nitro all over again.
It's a great thing. It really is.
Yeah, man. I love it.
So from there, we go into the Ring of Honor World Television Championship match. And I'm actually glad that they put this match on a little bit earlier, because if you ask me, this match probably had, I don't want to say the worst outcome, but probably the worst ending. Like, it didn't really make any sense. It really just came out of nowhere, and we don't really need authority figures getting involved in matches like this. But listen, not to say that the match was bad. The match was fine. It was a solid little match. They did what they needed to do. Dalton Castle's very good, and Samoa Joe's a fucking beast. I had no issue with the match itself, but the ending, I mean, holy shit, I don't know why that ending had to be. That to me was probably the biggest blemish on the show. And I actually heard some people complaining about the ending to the main event, how the main event ended. And I'm like, what the fuck are you complaining about in the main event? That was probably the best ending to go forth with, because it keeps the feud going. And we're going to talk about that when we get to the main event. This match, I didn't hear anyone complaining about the ending of this match. Meanwhile, this match had the worst ending. I really don't understand it. So some people, like, they focus all their energy into the wrong fucking thing. If there was one thing to complain about, this was the thing to complain about. Not to say it was a bad match, though, because Dalton Castle and Samoa Joe are great at what they do. So this match originally was supposed to be Samoa Joe versus Mark Briscoe, but Eddie Kingston, he's competing in the G1, and Mark Briscoe was given a world title match, which ultimately had to be given to Pac because in the end, Mark Briscoe had a knee injury. So thoughts and prayers to Mark Briscoe. I do believe that in the end, Mark Briscoe and Eddie Kingston will be the top two respective champions on Ring of Honor. Eddie Kingston's going to beat Claudio when the time is right, and Mark Briscoe will beat Samoa Joe. But look, the match itself was fine. Wasn't anything crazy. It was more slow-paced. It was a little bit more methodical. It was very Samoa Joe-esque, but not to say it was bad. It was fine. So Castle, he was in control early on with a DDT. Joe came back with some chops. Atomic drop, a big boot, and a senton, and Joe fucking laid in this senton on Dalton Castle. This was not just a shoulder graze of a senton. Samoa Joe jumped, and he landed with all of his fucking weight on the stomach of Dalton Castle. I am shocked that Dalton Castle got back up. I am shocked that Dalton Castle does not have a broken rib, or we didn't hear something about him having a broken rib, because it looked fucking brutal. So Samoa Joe, he slowed the pace down with a corner enziguri. The boys tried to assist Dalton Castle in getting back into the ring. Joe with a snap power slam for a 2, which that's one of my favorite moves that Samoa Joe does. I fucking love the snap power slam. Dalton Castle, he had the crowd behind him. Castle mounted a comeback with a couple of exploder suplexes. He did an around the apron Hurricane Rana on the floor to Joe. Big tope suicida, big exploder, a rising knee, and he got Samoa Joe up in a German suplex. Joe rolled to the outside, and Stokely Hathaway, who was on commentary, Joe was screaming, "Fix this," to Stokely Hathaway. Fix this, fix this. So Stokely Hathaway then got up and ejected the boys from ringside. The referee was distracted. Samoa Joe low blow Dalton Castle, put him in the coquina clutch, and Dalton Castle, he passed out, and that was that. Fine match, but I don't know why the fuck Stokely had to get involved here. Now, granted, if they are setting up another Dalton Castle Samoa Joe match to help continue Samoa Joe's reign and momentum, fine. But you could have done that in a much better route than this. I don't understand why Stokely got involved. And if anything, it kind of took away from what Dalton Castle and Samoa Joe did. Now, again, I'm shocked that not a lot of people are complaining about this, but it really rubbed me the wrong way. That's not what I want to see when it comes to Ring of Honor. That's not what I want to see. Now, back when Samoa Joe fought Jay Lethal and you had Satnam Singh and Sanjay Dutt interfering, that made sense. That made sense because they're aligned with Jay Lethal. So I didn't mind that. But this, what the fuck does Stokely Hathaway have to do with Samoa Joe? Just because Samoa Joe is bullying around an authority figure? Like, you cannot duplicate what happened in NXT with William Regal and Samoa Joe. You can't. It's impossible. The match was fine. The match was fine. Fine for what it was. Went about 13, 14 minutes. Right outcome, but terrible fucking ending. Those types of endings, Tony Khan really needs to stay away from. I'm glad that he doesn't do them often. I can't remember the last time we had an ending as stupid as this. So I appreciate the fact that an ending like this is not seen often, but I think that we need to eradicate them altogether. But I'm going to toss it over to you. The ball's in your court.
So in my notes, I wrote, first and foremost, I don't get Dalton Castle.
I didn't get him at first, but now I get him. I think he's fucking entertaining as shit. I watched him cut a promo on Ring of Honor television, and they were having a six-man match. It was a six-man match. It was for $25,000, and he's cutting a fucking promo on the way to the ring. He's going, $25,000. I got some big purchases to make. I'm going to go to the farmer's market and I'm going to buy everything. I'm going to buy some potted plants, some fancy jams. I'm going to buy them all. And I'm watching this. I'm like, it's like fucking stupid, but it's fucking hilarious at the same time. I didn't get him at first, but the more that you watch him, the more you're going to be like, all right, you know what? This guy's fucking hilarious.
I think it can be funny because I've seen him I've seen him a few times before, but like when he came out the other night, I'm like, my first thought is, do we really got to dress up like who come out here like Evel Knievel and 1976 Las Vegas Elvis had a love child? Like, what's going on with that? So that throws me off.
Hey, look,
and
it's
then,
original. It's original.
I'll give him that. And the other thing is when he's running around with his two little henchmen. Yeah, there's a very Adam Rose-esque similarity I find with Dalton Castle. I don't know if that's just me or.
Well, yeah, but Dalton Castle is actually over, and he's a better wrestler.
Joe on his way to being the longest reigning Ring of Honor TV champ in history.
If he can hold it past November 1st, he will be the longest reigning Ring of Honor television champion ever. He will beat Jay Lethal's record.
I say they give it to him.
Yeah, I say give it to him. Absolutely fucking, and then have Mark Briscoe win in a final battle.
I think Joe deserves that accolade.
Oh, he absolutely does. And you know what? You know what I'm going to say before I let you continue? Why is it so easy for Tony Khan to book Samoa Joe like this? And he's been with AEW for 15 fucking months. And he's a two-time TNT champion. And he is on his way to being the longest reigning Ring of Honor World Television Champion of all time. No one's going to take that title off him except for Mark Briscoe. But yet, he's a fucking jobber in WWE. What is so fucking difficult? This is what Samoa Joe should have been in WWE right from the word go when he got called up in 2017.
I was going to say Joe was pretty damn dominant in NXT. He was booked right.
Yes, I'm talking about main roster.
It goes back to over a decade prior to back in the old TNA days when Samoa Joe was having bangers with AJ Styles and Kurt Angle. I think he was up for a contract renegotiation or something, and word got around that Vince McMahon didn't want him because he was fat and out of shape. And I think that once he got to the main roster in WWE, you know how like we see Vince's one-track mind play out week in and week out. So Vince already has this thought from like 12, 13 years ago. I don't want this guy. He's fat and out of shape. So Vince has already got that preconceived notion in his head. So, well, now the guy's in his company, but Vince is probably thinking, I didn't want him in my company. So how do I get him out of my company? Let's just book him into oblivion until he's gone. You know what I mean?
That shit pissed me off, dude. Like,
I know.
When I watched this Joe, I'm like,
what? It really wasted 5 good years of his career.
And it did. Like ever since he got called up. When he got called up in 2017, his career after that feud with Brock Lesnar, his main roster career was just downhill.
Yeah.
After that feud with Brock, that legit pissed me off. But look at him now.
The next thing I wrote in my notes was, again, you have already alluded to it. I wrote slow, methodical, technical match.
I mean, look, that's what you'll get with most Samoa Joe matches. Not every Samoa Joe match is going to be a match that we saw last year at Death Before Dishonor with Jay Lethal. That was a very, very ultra rare type of match. And Jay Lethal really brought the best out of Samoa Joe. But this wasn't bad. It was just very methodical.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're not familiar with Samoa Joe's work before you saw this match, then maybe the match was a bit slow-paced and boring to some, but for those of us that are, OG TNA fans, this is what I love about Samoa Joe, though, is because you've got all the high flying with the luchadors, there's so much different there's so many different styles, and then Samoa Joe just comes in and he just, just slows everything down, just really wears on his opponent, beats on him for a good long while, just completely just drains him of everything before he sends you night,
And no one's beating him. No one's beating that man unless your name is Mark Briscoe.
Yeah, it would be a travesty if he were to lose that title before he becomes the longest reigning TV champ.
He's not, but dude,
But
that ending really left a sour taste in my mouth.
Here's the thing, since I haven't been watching Ring of Honor for the last couple months. Does Stokely Hathaway have some sort of authoritative role in Ring of Honor? Because I just thought he was a manager in AEW.
Tony Khan appointed him and Jerry Lynn as the new board of directors for Ring of Honor.
Oh, okay. Because I was thinking I'm like, why the fuck? What does he even have anything to do with either of these two guys? That Samoa Joe was like, why is he even sitting out there? Now it makes a little more sense to me. Okay, because I was like, why is he coming to Stokely Hathaway? And what is going on? Like, I clearly understood that I missed something when we got to this point, but because I was so confused. But now it makes more sense that he's kind of like the GM of ROH, yeah?
Yeah, in a sense. But, dude, that ending was fucking stupid.
Haha, my guy, Jeremy Lewis, what up?
I don't know what they did with this ending, but I really do hope that it's not going to lead to Stokely interfering in Samoa Joe's matches now, because like that shit is just going to bring Joe down. Joe does not need Stokely.
Isn't he the manager of Big Bill?
No. Big Bill and Lee Moriarty are tag team on their own, and Stokely Hathaway is now the board of director member of Ring of Honor.
Okay, so he's not tied to AEW anymore at this point.
I mean, we'll probably see him on AEW on occasion, but as of right now, no.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, dude, that ending, no. I thought you would have had more to say about the ending.
I don't know. I like I was telling you before we went live, like this pay-per-view to me was missing something because of the fact that Mark wasn't on the show, and I wasn't really.
The Briscoes obviously look, they add a lot, but let's not shortchange anyone that worked on this show.
Well, I don't necessarily just mean the presence of the Briscoes. I just felt like all the other Ring of Honor shows that I've watched since the brand got resurrected, I don't know. There was at least the way I felt going into the shows. I felt that there was like a little bit of a buzz about them, and they gave off a very NXT Black and Gold vibe, and I just did not. Now, there's extenuating circumstances going on in my, everyday life that probably have me pulled out of the weekly wrestling game more than usual. So that could have factored into it as well. But
I think it was mainly like the injury angles and the fact that Tony Khan had to scramble to put together a solid card.
I didn't think twice really about the ending, specifically because, like I said, Dalton Castle, I'm not familiar enough with. I know he's got the comedy shtick kind of thing, but I feel like when he pulls it out and it's during a match and then he's like in the camera talking to the camera while he's in a match, there's just something about it that it's not for me. And I get at times I found him funny, and he's great in the ring. Like, he's a great worker. And I got nothing bad. Like, I'm not dissing him by any means. It just, there's something about him for me that I haven't kind of connected with yet or something. I'm not sure. So I just knew that there's no way Samoa Joe is losing this match. So let's get through this on to the, next one, I guess. So the ending for me was just kind of like, whatever.
Yeah, I would definitely say that, he can tone down the comedy in certain aspects, but as far as the match itself goes, fine, but that ending, it just really, really, really did not click in the way that they were hoping. I'm not really sure what they were going for with the ending, but Samoa Joe retains as he should in a match that was okay, but a match that ultimately had a terrible ending. Best Friends, The Kingdom, Aussie Open, and the Lucha Brothers. Fatal four-way match for the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championships. And if you ask me, this was easily one of the best matches of the night. And if anything, you could make an argument that the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Division is better than the AEW World Tag Team Division. Because this match was fucking great. This match was fucking great. This match had everything. And I actually predicted that we were going to get at least one title change on the show. We got it, but not in the match that I was expecting. Now, before we get into the outcome, let's go over what happened here in this match. So this match was kind of thrown together. They wanted to get everybody on the show, and in the end, it turned out to be one of the best matches of the night, and up until the fight without honor, this was the match of the night. And the reason why I feel as though they booked this match was for Aussie Open. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. So we had very standard, very even match early on. Bennett and Trent got into a chop-off. We had Kyle Fletcher and Ray Phoenix trading blows back and forth. Phoenix then stepped off of Mark Davis's knee into a cutter on Fletcher, which was very nice. Lucha Bros are great. We had a wheelbarrow double DDT by Penta. Best Friends then took over. Aussie Open took advantage with a kind of a meeting in the middle type of super collider move to the Best Friends. So the Best Friends were taking out Taven with an Undertaker dive over the top rope. And by the way, the height that Taven gets is extremely impressive. So I got to give props to Taven right there. Taven paying some props to the Undertaker right there. Lucha Bros then followed up with double tope con heroes. Beretta then superplexed Bennett off the top to the floor into the pile. Back in the ring, Taven with the frog splash on Beretta, which he calls the Aurora Borealis. Bennett covered. That got a 2 count. We had double team, elbow by the Kingdom. Beretta then with a missile drop kick and a tornado DDT on Bennett. Tag to Penta. We had a sling blade on Taven. We had a big Made in Penta, which is the Made in Japan pump handle driver that Penta calls Made in Penta. Taven kicked out. We had Aussie Open coming in, an assisted cutter on Phoenix, uppercut to Beretta, sliding forearm to Penta, and then we had a whirly bird, which is pretty much a modified assisted blackout, the move that Lance Archer does, but it's a double team move. Taven saved the match. The Kingdom then with Rockstar Supernova, which is a zigzag powerbomb combination. Taylor saved the match. The Best Friends then with an assisted Tower of Doom superplex on Taven. Soul Food half and half on Bennett. Awful Waffle on Taven. Fletcher came in with a tombstone on Taylor. We had a Gotch-style pile driver by Trent. A pile driver by Davis. Double super kicks to the Lucha Bros. Stomp pile driver. The fear factor on Davis. Bennett saved the match. I actually thought the Lucha Brothers retained right there. We had an assisted stuff pile driver on Penta. Penta kicked out, hyped himself up. Everything just started breaking down. Penta and Phoenix then yanked the ref out when the Best Friends were about to win the titles after they hit strong 0. Penta then brawled with, I believe it was Chuck Taylor, up the ramp. Phoenix was sent into the crowd. Aussie Open then took advantage right here. Double lariat, crushing Trent. And then they hit the Coriolis, and Aussie Open out of nowhere. Aussie Open are the new Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions. And even though there was some negatives to this, I did not mind this outcome whatsoever for multiple reasons. Number one, Aussie Open right now, I don't give a shit who is going to try and argue me on this. I don't want to hear a peep out of you. Aussie Open right now is up there with one of the best tag teams of all time. It doesn't matter how you look at them. They're up there with the Hardys. They're up there with the Dudleys. They're up there with the Usos. They're up there with FTR. They're up there with the Young Bucks. They're up there with the Briscoes. Aussie Open is fucking amazing. And if you do not know how good they are, Go back, watch their matches with the Bucks, watch their matches with FTR, watch their matches with the Briscoes. They are absolute fucking studs in every sense of the imagination. So that I didn't mind because I'm a big Aussie Open guy. Number two, there really isn't a place for Aussie Open on AEW television right now because FTR, they're going to be losing the titles to MJF and Adam Cole, and then FTR will probably team with CM Punk to fight maybe the House of Black for the trios titles, or maybe they might go into a feud with the Young Bucks. Who knows? You got the Young Bucks, you got Best Friends, you got FTR, you got Adam Cole and MJF, you got the Jericho Appreciation Society, you got the Hardys in there. There really isn't a place for Aussie Open on AEW television right now because if they're put on television, realistically speaking, they should win the fucking tag team titles because they're just that good. So them being on Ring of Honor is actually perfect for them. Absolutely perfect for them because now them being the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions, this gives them something to do. And imagine the matches that they could have down there. Kingdom, Best Friends, Top Flight, La Facción Ingobernables with Rush and Dralistico. There's a lot of great tag teams down there. Big Bill and Lee Moriarty, they're not bad themselves. The Embassy, when they lose the 6-man tag team championship, there's a lot of great matches down there for Aussie Open to have. Now, the negatives to this is, number one, the first thing I was thinking was Lucha Bros didn't really get much of a reign. They only held it for like just a little bit over 100 days. And they only had like maybe 2 title defenses. So that kind of rubbed me the wrong way because I like when we have long title reigns to establish some prestige. Now, they didn't necessarily hold them for 2 days and then they lost them. They held them for like 3.5 months and that was it. They just didn't really do too much with them. However, the Lucha Bros do have a program now based on what happened in the world title match with Pac and Claudio Castagnoli. It looks like we could see a feud between the Death Triangle and the Blackpool Combat Club. So that I didn't mind. And if you think about it, the tag team division on AEW could use the Lucha Bros. Lucha Bros versus anyone. And if anything, I would love to see the Lucha Bros versus Adam Cole and MJF for the tag team championships. They would be great opponents for him after they win the titles. So I had no problem with that aspect. But Lucha Bros, A, they didn't really get a run with it. And B, the only reason that I feel as though they gave Aussie Open the titles was out of pity because Mark Davis got injured and they had to vacate the New Japan Pro Wrestling and the Strong tag team championships. They were double champions in New Japan and they had to vacate them. So they vacated them ultimately because Mark Davis got injured. Then they became all elite. And now it's like Tony Khan was kind of like, you know what? I feel sorry for these guys that they had to give up 2 sets of titles because these guys are fucking great at what they do. They shouldn't have had to give up these championships. So you know what? I'm going to give them the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championships because I feel bad for them. Because they didn't do anything. They were just kind of placed in this match out of nowhere. Realistically, I thought it was going to be the Kingdom versus the Lucha Bros at Death Before Dishonor. But it ended up being a fatal 4-way match. Now, granted, it made the match better, but it just didn't really make too much sense. But that was the only reason I feel as though they gave it to Aussie Open. But regardless, I mean, there is more positives to this than negatives. So in the end, we get a great fucking fatal 4-way tag team match and Aussie Open and the new tag team champions. So after all of that, I'm going to throw it over to you, HooliGrim. What say you? Unmute your mic.
Yeah. Still learning. My bad.
Still learning.
First of all, I don't know how anybody that covers pro wrestling takes notes while they're watching. This is where my notes just hit the shitter because there was so much going on in this match. I could not keep up with trying to take notes and watch
my hand was hurting.
I felt like I wrote about 4 sentences about this match that really doesn't do me any good for what I'm here for today. And the whole match was over. So props to you guys that do this on a regular basis. This match was great. How could it not be? Props to Mike Bennett for coming out wearing a camouflage Dem Boys t-shirt. I really popped big for that. I was telling you before we went live, when this match was over, I literally thought to myself, Aussie Open retains, because I literally, at some point during this match, I've just been seeing and hearing so much about Aussie Open recently that watching this match, they seemed like the champions to me. So when they won the belts, I wasn't all like, "Oh, they good for them." Like, congratulate. I was under the assumption that they had the belts. Now, mind you, I saw Lucha Brothers get into the ring with the titles. I just feel like Aussie Open is on another level, that they're so good that I'd forgotten who went into the match as champions. You know what I mean?
But hey, look, in the end, I mean, good for Aussie Open. But
yeah, facts.
What were your thoughts on this ending? Do you think that it was given to Aussie Open out of pity? Do you think the Lucha Bros deserved a longer time with the championships, or do you feel as though it's best that they go into a program alongside Pac with the BCC?
You would think that I would trend more towards how you described it, but I'm actually the opposite in this case. I feel like the Lucha Bros, them being on Ring of Honor, they're so good that being on Ring of Honor that doesn't have a weekly TV, national TV spot, you can plug and play them into the AEW shows whenever you want to, if you need to, but I just feel like I completely forgot they were the Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions. So the fact that I've seen and heard so much about Aussie Open in the last couple months, I was okay with them winning the titles, because I'm like, well, since they've been around, now that they've got the titles, like, keep their momentum going, keep what they've been building up the last couple months, because I just think that the Lucha Brothers being in Ring of Honor is almost like, I don't want to say, it's not a diss, but I just feel like it's beneath them almost.
It's
in
not
some
a
ways.
downgrade. They help the division. It's just,
yeah, they totally helped. I just mean they need to be.
They didn't get a run with it.
Like, put them on weekly TV up on the big show, like where they deserve to be.
Well, looks like now we're gonna get that.
Yeah,
looks like we're gonna get Blackpool Combat Club and Death Triangle going into All In and All Out.
Yeah, so in that regard, I was actually okay with how things transpired. I didn't feel like they just gave it out of pity to Aussie Open. I didn't feel like that at all, and I actually feel like Aussie Open deserves it. Because if Lucha Brothers, not that they don't, but if they're not really doing anything with it and they're not really defending the titles and stuff, maybe they got other stuff going on outside of wrestling. Or maybe because now Pac's back, maybe, like you said, the Death Triangle is going to have some sort of reunion. So yeah, let them do that, and let Aussie Open run with these titles for a while.
We'll see what happens, but I'm actually very much looking forward to seeing what they do. But I don't know. There's just a little part of me that wishes that the Lucha Bros would have gotten a little bit more of a run with it, and then they could have given it to Aussie Open. But look, Aussie Open are fucking great. Again, more positive than negative, I will say. And Aussie Open, congratulations to them. Once again, I will state, one of the best tag teams of all time. Don't fucking argue with me.
And just real quick, Trent Beretta, that top rope superplex that he did to the outside was nuts.
Oh, yeah, he's awesome. Trent's awesome. And by the way, right team took the pin. The right team took the pin.
I agree.
Mogul Embassy. This is Brian Cage, Toa Leona, and Khan versus Master Wato, Ryusuke Taguchi, and Leon Ruffin. This was for the Ring of Honor World Six-Man Tag Team Championships. Let's go over what happened before we get into the aftermath. We had Cage showcasing just how good he is. He delivered a double German suplex on Taguchi and Wato, showcasing his power. Ruffin came in. He got fucking decked by Toa Leona. And by the way, Toa Leona, he was actually a lot bigger the last time I remember him. he got himself into pretty decent shape. I will say that. He slimmed down just a little bit. So Ruffin, he was isolated. He came back with a jumping DDT on Bishop Khan. Bishop Khan, he may be just as shredded as Brian Cage. We had a tag to Watto. Watto then with a bulldog on Khan and a zigzag for a 2. Leona then with a belly-to-belly suplex on Watto. Taguchi then with hip attacks to all 3 members of the embassy. We had an ankle lock on Khan. Toa saved it. Cage then with a 619 on Watto. Taguchi then with a 619 on Cage. Ruffin came out of nowhere with a frog splash. Small package by Taguchi for 2. Tag to Watto. And we had a tag to Toa. Everyone came in. Ruffin then with a beautiful cutter on Cage. Ruffin has a very nice cutter. Ruffin then with a roundhouse kick to Toa Leona. Toa with a backbreaker. We had Ruffin kicking out. The embassy, they took out Watto and they took out Taguchi, and they fucking launched. And I mean, this was probably one of the best spots of this match. They fucking launched Leon Ruffin into fucking. I legit thought he was gonna start moving around the earth like a fucking satellite. He was fucking up there at least 10, 12 feet. He fucking was launched up to the fucking sky, and he came crashing fucking down. So just the visual of the embassy just tossing Ruffin up into the sky and him just crashing down, that to me made this match worth watching. And Toa Leona pinned Ruffin to retain. This was not bad. I don't want anyone to misconstrue what I'm saying. This was not a bad 6-man tag. But this was merely a showcase for the embassy because, listen, if you're going to have a Ring of Honor pay-per-view, you can't leave the embassy off a pay-per-view. You can't have them not defend the titles. The titles can't become props. You got to have them defend them. So in the end, embassy defend the titles. It wasn't terrible. They retained. And right now, I definitely see them holding those titles probably till Final Battle. And I do have the trio to beat them. I do indeed have the trio to beat them, which we will go over a little bit later on. But not a bad match. It was just a showcase match. That's pretty much what it was. And the embassy retain, rightfully so. Floor is yours, Mr. HooliGrim.
Where do I begin? I've always been a fan of Brian Cage since the Lucha Underground days, but I feel like there are times where he does a little too much. Like when they come out for their entrance, I feel like almost, I don't feel like I look at them as one faction. I feel like I look at them as a tag team fused together with Brian Cage. And so in that regard, when they come out onto the ramp on the stage or whatever, and I just was like, how long are we doing this like Lex Luger pose-a-thon Brian Cage for? Like, you can pose and flex a couple of times, but I just felt like he just drags stuff on too long sometimes, and kind of it comes across as like he makes it all about him. And so that little kind of shit annoys me. But that's just me nitpicking, and that's just a personal preference thing, I guess.
I can actually see that. I'm not going to lie. I can actually see that, but I don't know. I guess it doesn't really bother me too much, only because I like seeing 3 big, meaty guys just beat the shit out of people. I just enjoy seeing carnage.
Now, here's where this is what I wrote for notes. I did not like the producing of this match, like, whatsoever. That was my notes for the match. Like, I literally couldn't give a fuck to write about the match because I feel like, for one, this is a random trio pairing that makes this not a pay-per-view worthy match, in my opinion. Why are we getting Leon Ruffin with 2 New Japan guys to go up against the Mogul Embassy, and then it takes them like 15 minutes to beat these little twerps? They got way too much offensive.
It was only 12 minutes.
Huh?
I think it was only 12 minutes.
12 minutes. It was about 11 minutes and 30 seconds too long and for my liking. I feel like the Embassy should have crushed them like a soda can in about 3 minutes. And I feel that way because I don't know. I look at Toa Leona. There's him and Khan. They were kind of, there's an aspect to, maybe it's the one big guy and one more slender guy. They kind of remind me, they give me Ascension vibes a little bit.
Yeah, I can see that.
And Toa Leona is just like, I see Haku in him. I see Umaga in him. I see, there are so many different guys from the past, like real.
Great. He's probably the second best guy out of the Embassy.
The Barbarian. I see part of the Barbarian in him. He's. I just thought that they allowed this scrawny little Leon Ruffin and his makeshift team to get way too much offense on these guys that are just supposed to be dominant beasts. So I didn't really care for this match at all. And thankfully obviously Embassy is going to win. I'm interested to see, like, because I can't think of off the top of my head another trio, like, because who's going to beat these guys? Well, who's another trio even in Ring of Honor?
I got the trio. We'll talk about it a little bit later on.
All right. Sounds good to me.
But look, I understand what you're saying right there. I guess I didn't really mind it because, I like seeing new talent. I like seeing new talent come on in and showcase themselves to me for the first time. I mean, if I was, of the nature of, why are these guys getting so much offense? I guess I wouldn't have discovered guys like an AR Fox or Shane Taylor or a fucking adult.
But this wasn't Forbidden Door, so why is New Japan even on this show? Second of all, 12 minutes for these guys that have been running through everybody in dominant fashion, and then these are the three randoms that you pick to go 12 minutes with them? Like, it just didn't make sense to me.
I guess I also didn't mind it because I don't like it when pay-per-view matches are squash matches. I personally hate that. If you're gonna put something on a pay-per-view, give it the amount of time it needs to be at least decent. That's the reality when it comes to pay-per-view. Now, the only cases I don't mind it is when Rhea obviously squashed Natalya, because listen, Natalya's fucking dead. So at the end of the day, no one's gonna give a shit if Rhea squashes Natalya. But in other cases, I like my pay-per-view matches to be of substance rather than squash.
Well, I agree. So therefore, to even further sell 0 Hour, you put a title match on 0 Hour, that being that match, and you swap Shane Taylor and AR Fox and put them in this spot on the pay-per-view.
Yeah, that I absolutely agree with. The one thing that I will say before we move on is the reason why New Japan's on the show is because New Japan and Ring of Honor, they've always had a good working relationship.
I know. I'm just saying it was kind of like we already did Forbidden Door.
Yeah, that's why Shibata's the pure champion.
And I get it. I just felt like, we just had Forbidden Door, so.
Yeah, I don't know. Look, again, it was they needed people that the Embassy could easily defeat. They did it. I do have a team to beat them, and we will get into that. But before we get into that, we're going to get into the Pure Championship match. This was Katsuyori Shibata defending against Daniel Garcia, and the crowd in New Jersey heavily behind Daniel Garcia doing the fucking nay-nay and shit. And Daniel Garcia, man, look, he got himself over. He's getting himself over with this shit. The more that you do something, the more people are going to catch on to it. And fucking people have caught on to this fucking dance. They really have. So they were actually booing Shibata at some points.
Yeah, they were. I was shocked at that.
That was shocking. Holy shit.
Yeah.
So we had a figure 4 by Shibata. Garcia used the ropes. And I think that was the only rope break during this match. Garcia then, he mocked Shibata's pose. Garcia was then sent into the barricade 3 times. And by the way, these barricades in Ring of Honor, zero protection. Zero protection whatsoever. So Daniel Garcia, he caught some He caught some fucking nasty bumps there. So from there, we had Katsuyori Shibata in control. He sent Garcia into the crowd. The crowd was chanting, "You're a wrestler," at Garcia. Garcia, he tried to work on the arm of Shibata, so that was his target. Shibata fueled up, but he was shut down quick. Garcia then did the dance right in front of Shibata for about 30 seconds. And I don't know how, but Shibata, he remained fucking stone face as the crowd was just eating this shit up. Then Shibata sat down in his Indian style pose, and fucking Daniel Garcia, he did the dance into the seated position and started doing the dance in the seated Indian pose. I actually got a laugh out of that. And just when I think he couldn't get any funnier, just wait till you hear what he did later on in the fucking show. So, crowd was fucking loving this. They were going, "Oh, Daniel Garcia," to that like Italian chant. I can't remember what it's called. So, afterwards, Shibata said, "All right, you know what? Fuck this." Shibata with a running face wash and a hesitation dropkick. Necklock suplex for a 2. This is where shit started to rev up. Boston Crab. Shibata got out of it. Shibata with a triangle choke. Garcia with an STF. Shibata then with a bow and arrow. Garcia then with a 3 Amigos attempt. Shibata then with a suplex. One after another after another. Both men were down. Crowd was chanting, "This is awesome." Both men traded blows. They wouldn't go down. We had a big lariat. Shibata stayed up. Shibata then booted Garcia and delivered a German suplex. Garcia popped right back up. He delivered a lariat to Shibata. And then Shibata with another boot, and both men were down. Crowd was appreciating this match. We had a big punt kick by Shibata. Garcia then with the Dragon Tamer, and he wrenched back. He wrenched back too far. Shibata caught him in a sleeper. Garcia countered with a back suplex and a T-bone suplex as well. Garcia then slapped Shibata. Garcia, he messed up. He fucked up. He was put in a sleeper. Garcia realized he wasn't getting out of the sleeper, so he said, "All right, you know what? If I'm going down in a motherfucking blaze of glory." This motherfucker does the fucking hip thrust dance as he is passing out in the fucking sleeper, and he's like, "Fuck it, I'm becoming a meme overnight." Does the dance as he's passing out. Shibata sits him down, hits the PK, and wins the match 1, 2, 3. Now, there were a little too much shenanigans in the beginning, but the last 5 minutes of this match, I will say, the last 5 minutes were great. Especially that fucking dance in the fucking sleeper hold. That shit right there was probably one of the funniest spots of anything pro wrestling all fucking year. It was that, and what was it? That and whatever MJ and Adam Cole are doing right now. Garcia became a national treasure overnight, and Shibata ends up retaining. Now, last 5 minutes were fucking great, but I ask, was this the right outcome? Was this the right outcome? Because if anything, I would have given it to Daniel Garcia. Not because Shibata can't make Ring of Honor, because it looks like Shibata is going to stay with Ring of Honor for a while if he's getting an actual run with the Pure Championship, which I have no issue with. But the one thing that kind of gets to me is with how over Garcia got himself, I'm shocked that Tony Khan didn't call an audible. That's the one thing that I kept on thinking. In my eyes, Garcia should have won. But listen, if Shibata is going to continue staying in Ring of Honor, fine. I just hope that they don't pass on Daniel Garcia, because Daniel Garcia really hasn't done much of anything but a fucking dance recently, and he's getting himself over. It's kind of like LA Knight. LA Knight hasn't done much of anything, but yet he's fucking over because of his charisma. Garcia is becoming more over because of his charisma, so I figured that they would have given him the win here, but they didn't. They didn't give him the win, and Shibata retains. If anything, I would love to see a rematch between the two. I think the Pure Championship is a great spot for Daniel Garcia, and I would much rather have him in that scenario than on AEW television, because there really isn't a place for him there yet. But Shibata retains. Last 5 minutes of the match were pretty damn fucking good. It was hard hitting. I just question the outcome. That's all I'm fixating on. I am just questioning the outcome. So I'm going to throw it over to you. Was this the right outcome for you?
I think it depends on what the long-term plan for Daniel Garcia and what he's doing right now is, and if they have him end up breaking away from the JAS.
I mean,
and if that's the case, then I see why they didn't just stick a title on him just yet. Obviously, if Shibata is now here in America and he's going to be here for a minute as the pure champion, I mean, maybe they want to give him a lengthier run with the belt.
Which I don't mind.
Daniel Garcia is kind of an anomaly to me because when I look at him, he looks like my son. He looks like he's 18 years old, but then it's like he knows. It's like he knows what he's doing in there, like somebody that's been in the ring for like, you know, at least 10 years or whatever. So it's crazy to watch him because it's like, I mean, even like with the little corny comedy stuff, it's like, I mean, he just nails it. And that thing with the dance last night was, it was like the more he did it, somehow the funnier the shit got to me, which is very hard to do in pro wrestling, especially when you're doing something very teetering on the bridge of could be kind of cringe if the wrong person is doing it, or if they're doing it too much, or, you know, it's being overproduced. But Daniel Garcia is, and him taunting the crowd like, I'm a pro wrestler, like trying to convince everybody that he's or I'm a sports entertainer, sorry. He's trying to convince almost like he's trying to convince himself that that's what he really is. I really like him, and you can tell like he hasn't even come into his like grown man body yet. So when he should be all cylinders should be firing when he hits his prime. And I was okay with this with the outcome because, again, like I said, it all just to me depends on. I feel like there's a different direction. Like they're going somewhere far past this little match with Shibata when it comes to Daniel Garcia.
Do you think that we could be looking down the barrel of a Sammy Guevara versus Daniel Garcia feud? Or do you think that Jericho could very well, you know, help get Daniel Garcia more over? Does he turn, and does he become a member of the Don Callis family? And I just don't know. It was just confusing to me because they didn't really seem like they have a clear-cut plan for Daniel Garcia. This is where I thought it was his plan.
Well, you remember a little bit ago, like last year, they were teasing with the whole "are you a sports entertainer, pro wrestler" aspect when it came to Daniel Garcia, and we all thought because he was getting super over, but then he stayed with Jericho and sports entertainer, right? So I kind of feel like this is all being built. I could see a internal feud coming with Sammy Guevara, eventually leading to something with Jericho. But I feel like he's getting this damn dance over, right? And the more that this gets over, eventually it's gonna cause cracks in his bond with Jericho and the JAS. So I think that's where they're going. I mean, that's the only thing that makes sense to me, at least right now. But I was okay with I wasn't expecting Garcia to win this match, to be honest, even though he could have. And, you know, some would say that he deserves it to hold a title at some point at this stage for what he's done already. Again, it's not it's not main roster AEW, it's Ring of Honor. So another young up-and-comer who can get some more reps under his belt and more time in the ring is only a good thing. But I actually feel like Daniel, even though he's so young, I just feel like there's something else that they are that they've got in store for him. So I'm okay with him not winning. Because hasn't he already held the pure title already?
Well, yeah, but so did Wheeler Yuta, and Wheeler Yuta ended up becoming a 2-time pure champion.
Right. I just know that, okay, so Daniel's already at least held it one time. So, yeah, I'm okay with him not. Like, if this was like his first title match, I might have been more, maybe he should have deserved to win it. But like I said, I just think that something with this damn dance, there's something bigger in the works with him in this damn dance.
Now, who do you think takes the title off Shibata? It seems as though Josh Woods is the next challenger, and Shibata's not losing to him. But who is there? Who is the guy to take the title off Shibata? Oh, could they possibly send Jay Lethal down there and do it? I mean, that would be a good one to me because Jay Lethal screams Ring of Honor.
True.
I don't
They
know.
could have any of the old school TNA guys do it, really, or the old school.
Dalton Castle, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, Dalton Castle. I could see him being a pure champion.
That's what just gets to me. It's because there isn't really anyone that sticks out as the guy to beat Shibata. That's why I thought it was going to be. That's why I thought it was going to be. It was going to be Garcia.
Yeah, I mean, I understand why you thought it was going to be a Garcia. I guess for you also, I don't watch the weekly stuff either, so that could be why I wasn't expecting Daniel Garcia to win. I just feel like how it seems to me, the way things are going from what I watch, is this is just another step in getting Daniel Garcia to that point where he realizes that he's got to come to the acceptance that he's a pro wrestler, not a sports entertainer.
Possibly. Moving on here, we got the match that was the match of the night for me. This was the Righteous, Stu Grayson, Vincent, and Dutch versus the Dark Order, this being Evil Uno, John Silver, and Alex Reynolds, fight without honor. And Stu Grayson came out in the Righteous gear, which I thought he looked great. So the fight started right out of the gate, and Grayson and Uno, they went at it. Grayson immediately speared Uno through the ropes and through a table. They fucking crashed and burned. So shit was not going to slowly trend upwards. They were starting at 100 miles an hour right out of the gate. So Dutch and Silver, they brought out 2x4s, and Dutch's 2x4 was wrapped in barbed wire. All out chaos. Silver raked Dutch with the barbed wire, and Dutch was bleeding. Reynolds was then bounced off of barbed wire. Silver then brought out thumbtacks. I mean, of course he fucking did. You have a black bag, we're going to bring out thumbtacks. Dutch with a black hole slam, a beautiful black hole slam to John Silver into the fucking thumbtacks. Afterwards, Uno then brought in a chair and bashed Grayson with it. Vincent then sent Uno into a chair, and Vincent then tore at the mask of Evil Uno. 2 tables were then set up on the floor with what was to come later in what was one of the best spots of the year, which we will talk about. Uno was bleeding. Reynolds then hit Dutch with a chair. Again, like I said, all-out chaos. Some double-team action by Silver and Reynolds. A bridging German suplex. Dutch barely kicked out. Uno with the barbed wire 2x4, and he hit the Righteous with it. Uno then brought out a bag, and it was a bag full of Legos. So he mixed the Legos and the thumbtacks, and you knew that shit was about to hit the fan, and that was going to hurt like a motherfucker. Holy shit, that was going to hurt like a motherfucker. So Dark Order was then swarmed, and Dutch powerbombed Uno into the pile of Legos and thumbtacks just immediately, no wasted motion. Silver was then placed on a table. Vincent with a swanton bomb off the top rope to Silver. Table didn't break. The table didn't break. All of a sudden, Stu Grayson goes up to the top, does a fucking picture-perfect frog splash off the top, through Silver, through the fucking table. Dutch says, oh, you thought one powerbomb was enough? Fuck no. He powerbombs Uno into the thumbtacks and the Legos again, pins him, and Uno somehow kicks out. Unfucking believable. So Dutch then brought out a barbed wire table and he set it up on the stage. Reynolds then DDT'd Grayson on the stage, and Dutch was pushed off the stage, somersaulted, somersaulted over into the barbed wire table, and he was never seen again. Dutch was fucking destroyed. Silver then put a kick pad with thumbtacks sticking out on the outside of it. And he kicked Vincent in the chest and then delivered rapid fire kicks to the head with the thumbtacks going into fucking Vincent's head. He's fucking unbelievable. And Vincent, like a crazy motherfucker, he's saying, "This is what I wanted. This is what I wanted." So Stu Grayson and Evil Uno, they were then the last two standing. Uno was then placed on the tables on the floor. Grayson then brought out a giant ladder, set it up in the ring. He was going for, I believe he was going for a moonsault off the big ladder through the tables. Evil Uno got back in the ring, tipped the ladder over, and Stu Grayson fell from the fucking heavens down into the tables, absolutely fucking destroyed. Absolutely fucking destroyed. Back into the ring. Silver and Reynolds then surrounded Stu. They held him up. Pendulum slam into the thumbtacks and the Legos after Stu Grayson. And we thought after he went sailing back 20 feet through the air, we thought that was enough. No, that wasn't enough. Pendulum slam into the thumbtacks and the Legos. And Uno pins Stu Grayson 1, 2, 3 to win the fight without honor in what was the match of the night. Excellent fucking match. And if you ask me, I think that we are staring at our new Ring of Honor World Six-Man Tag Team Champions in due time. Because if that is the Dark Order that we're going to get on Ring of Honor, they are absolutely fucking worthy of championship gold. Excellent match. Match of the night. And no matter how good the two world title matches were, and they were great, this match absolutely stole the show. Great fucking match. And the right team won. It looks like we have ourselves legit challengers for the embassy now.
My turn?
Yeah, I'm waiting.
Okay. Do you think that it's because, I mean, I feel like there's been some, this match is the match for me.
This match had story.
I was going to say, this is the match that had the long-term booking attached to it, which is a great help, obviously, instead of just, and I realized.
Supercard.
I'm sorry?
This was building some Supercard when the Righteous returned.
Right. So when there's story involved, for me as a wrestling fan, that's going to pull me in every single time. The part I didn't like about the match was, and this is being nitpicky, and it's not anything to do with the wrestlers. It was more to do with the commentating at this point. Sometimes I feel like Caprice Coleman tries to do a little too much. And when they pulled the table out with the coiled barbed wire on it, he's screaming, barbed wire table. And then 5 minutes later, when they go to actually use the table in the spot, Caprice Coleman's going, "What kind of contraption is that?" And it's like, you just said 5 minutes ago, a barbed wire table. Now why are you asking where did that come from and what it is? Like, that kind of threw me for a loop. So
I didn't really notice it. I was just invested in the match. I didn't really notice it.
Yeah, it was just I just made me scratch my head. That aside, the match was amazing, and the storytelling, the story behind it, gets you invested. And then, I don't know. I think at this point we're all longtime wrestling fans. We've seen so many spots where they've used thumbtacks that doesn't even really I don't wince like when I used to see Mick Foley or Cactus Jack bring out the bag of thumbtacks and you'd be like, oh no. But that's how I felt when they dumped that pile of Legos in the ring. When they dumped that pile of Legos in the ring, and Riccaboni is like,
I've stepped on a Lego.
So I was about 10 years old, and in my bedroom at the time, I had bunk beds. And because I think at one point when me and my sister were younger, we shared a room, and then I got the bunk bed, so I always slept on top. my favorite thing to do as a kid was play with Legos. I had like these they look like plastic garbage cans that had lids, and those were my like buckets that I would store all my Legos in. And one night I was playing with them, had them all poured out all over the floor, and my mom was screaming at me to pick them up before I went to bed. And I didn't. Got into bed, got on the top bunk, and never one time ever fell off that bed, rolled underneath the guardrail. And on that specific night where every single one of my Legos that I own is laying 6 feet below on the floor, I slipped underneath the guardrail somehow in my sleep, dropped 6 feet, and bam onto the pile of Legos like full force. Like, man, that sucked bad. I can't even tell you. To this day, when I think about that moment in my life, my eyes still water when I think about the wincing pain that caused from landing on them.
Oh my God, man.
So when they pour out Legos, I was like,
he had Legos and thumbtacks in his back.
When they poured the Legos out, I literally jumped up and I was like, fuck yeah, I can't believe I'm seeing Legos in a wrestling ring. Like, that was great to me, man. And props to all them dudes that took spots on them Legos, because yeah.
But I would say this was the right outcome. And in the end, I do believe that the Dark Order are going to beat the Embassy in due time. And the Embassy is going to be on AEW full-time.
I know everybody was really big into Dark Order when Brody was alive and they were doing their thing in AEW. But I feel like I just look at Dark Order now, almost they're not even the same team really to me that they were when they were starting out this whole Dark Order shtick that they started giving us when AEW got rolling. And I'm for it. I really liked it.
If anything, this was probably the best that the Dark Order looked since the days of Brody.
That's how I feel. That's what they look like to me. I was too invested into other wrestlers at the time when Brody was trying to get the Dark Order up and running. And so I never disliked them. I just wasn't a big, huge fan of theirs because I was into too many other talents in the company. But I feel like these guys now, I look at them like it's not even like the same Dark Order team. It's like, are these the same guys that were in that team from a couple years ago? Because to me, they just have a totally different vibe and a totally different feel. And I'm actually more interested in them now than I was a couple years ago. So I feel like they're headed also in the right direction with things.
And you know what? I don't even mind Stu Grayson in the Righteous. I think he fits great.
Yeah, there were moments in the match that I kept reminding myself, oh, that's right, Grayson used to be part of the Dark Order. I totally forgot.
It's gonna be very, very interesting. But these two factions, they fucking brought it. This was awesome. Moving on, Pac versus Claudio Castagnoli, Ring of Honor World Championship. It did not main event the show. And we're going to talk about that later on. This was a great wrestling match. And you know what I kept on thinking? There was a couple things I kept on thinking. The first one I'm going to say now. How exactly do you watch this match? You watch this match, these two guys coming from NXT in the WWE well before Roman Reigns became the face of the company and shit like that. Well before the days of the Yes Movement and fucking, the just Roman Reigns being shoved down our throats and then the brand split in 2016. These two guys, two of the brightest young stars that WWE had, and they fucking wasted both of them away. And then here they are fighting for a world championship on a Ring of Honor pay-per-view, putting on an excellent wrestling match, showcasing to you guys why they should be in the world championship title picture. It's unbelievable. So let me go over this match. So Claudio with a European uppercut right out of the gate, no wasted motion, big pop-up uppercut. Pac then with a moonsault off the apron. Claudio caught him and slammed him onto the barricade. Claudio then was up on the stage with Pac, and he swung him round and round. The crowd chanted one more time, so he did it. Pac then took over with a beautiful moonsault off the top rope to the floor. Pac then brought out a table, and they set up for what was going to be the second best spot of the night. So Pac then, with a missile drop kick for a 2, Pac then took over. Claudio was then taken up to the top turnbuckle. Pac then with an avalanche brainbuster on Claudio, and he was in control. Claudio then took over. He delivered a military press. Pac went soaring over the top rope, through the table, crashed and burned. The table shattered. That was an awesome looking spot right there. Back in the ring, we had a diving elbow drop by Claudio, but Pac kicked out. Pac then came back with an enziguri. Claudio then with an alley-oop into a facebuster. He then rolled through the alley-oop facebuster into the neutralizer. Pac kicked out again. Both men traded blows back and forth. We had a punt kick by Pac, German suplex. Claudio then with a lariat. Both men are down. Pac with 2 super kicks and a beautiful bridging German suplex for a 2. Pac was then caught on the top rope by Claudio. He went for the Ricola bomb from the middle rope. Pac countered with a Frankensteiner and a big boot. He went for the black arrow, but Claudio moved. Claudio then went for the Ricola bomb. Pac caught him in a brutalizer. Pac had it in deep, but Claudio was able to climb the ropes. Claudio climbed the ropes with Pac on him and delivered a big air raid crash from the middle rope. Awesome spot right there. Wheeler Yuta then came out to distract Pac because Pac was trying to unhook the turnbuckle. Claudio took advantage and hit the Ricola bomb for the 1-2-3 victory, and Claudio wins a great match between himself and Pac to retain the championship, as he should. Afterwards, the Lucha Bros came out and they stood toe-to-toe with the Blackpool Combat Club before we get a brawl. The Best Friends came out to run off the Lucha Bros, and Orange Cassidy came out as well. He accidentally delivered an orange punch to Claudio, and in the end, we got a triple threat tag team match. It's Best Friends, Lucha Bros, and Moxley and Claudio on Dynamite tomorrow. The second thing I want to mention here is this. Claudio Castagnoli, I don't care who is going to try and refute this. Claudio Castagnoli is one of the unsung heroes of 2023. Claudio Castagnoli, even now, I don't even feel as though he's getting the appreciation he deserves from the fans. He just doesn't. You take a look at his work and his great matches with Eddie Kingston and AR Fox and Commander, and now this match with Pac and Anarchy in the Arena and Blood and Guts, and he's the Ring of Honor World Champion 2 times over. Claudio Castagnoli has had a great year under Tony Khan. He really has. Claudio Castagnoli has had a great fucking year under Tony Khan. It's unbelievable. The work rate that Claudio has been putting into this year, it may not be anything crazy or match of the year worthy, but Claudio deserves some fucking flowers. Claudio is so fucking good at 43 years old? 43 years old, and he doesn't even look like he's aged over 25. This motherfucker is coming out here looking like he found the fountain of youth, still working his ass off like he's 25 years old, and he is undoubtedly one of the most underappreciated stars in the world of pro wrestling right now. Everything that he does is great, and I think it's about time that a lot of people start giving him his flowers. Right outcome right here. Pac wasn't going to win. Claudio was the right winner. And there is no one that is taking that title off of Claudio but Eddie Kingston. And I would not mind whatsoever if we get that match in Arthur Ashe Stadium on September 20th and Eddie Kingston wins it in his home area of New York City. That would be a great story and a fairy tale ending for Eddie Kingston right there. But this was a great wrestling match. 2 guys who are easily 2 of the best in the world going out there having a great world title match. I don't have any complaints.
Agreed. To piggyback off of your beginning statements, it's egregious is really the only word I can think of. At how you want to talk about? I don't know if there's been another talent who's been more wasted over the last 10 years in a company than Claudio. When you think about the fact that he started with WWE in NXT, a lot of people don't know that about him. And then Adrian Neville also, Pac, who had a little bit of a better run, I think, in his time with WWE than Claudio did, but that's not saying a whole lot because both guys were criminally wasted and underutilized. And how you have two talents of that caliber on your roster that you just literally piss in the wind is crazy to me. So nobody in my mind is more deserving of anything they have coming to him more than Claudio is. And I'm not even the biggest Claudio fan. Like, I love the guy and I love his work. I love his matches. But if you ask me like who my top, my favorite guys in wrestling are, I feel like for a lot of people, Claudio is going to be under the radar on pretty much everybody's list. Like, you don't hear anybody talk bad about him and everybody heaps praise on him. But at the same time, he's not really one of them guys that's like, oh, Claudio's my favorite wrestler. You know what I mean? So if anybody deserves anything, any kind of flowers that they got coming their way, it's that guy for sure, 100%, no doubt.
So let me ask you this. Do you think that it would be right to wait to Final Battle to have Claudio lose the championship, or would you do it at Dynamite Grand Slam and give that win to Eddie Kingston there?
I'm a huge Pac fan, so every bit of me, even though I love Claudio, because to me, Pac is one of the day one guys from AEW.
He has been a double champion. He was the first All-Atlantic champion. He was one half of the Trios champion simultaneously, so.
But it was like for 2 minutes.
Not really. It was like for about 5 weeks.
So about 2 minutes.
No, it was for 5 weeks.
That's like 2 minutes to me in wrestling. That's nothing.
Maybe 5 days, maybe. And also, Pac had a great fucking best of 7 series with the Elite.
Well, then it's been a long time since you've had a belt because I've been wanting. Of this year?
Yes, January.
Pac had a belt.
Yes, he lost it. He lost the Trios titles on January 11th to the Elite, and then he came back to get revenge on Kenny. And his first 2 matches are fucking bangers. Blood and Guts, and then this one.
Yeah, I don't know. I've just been wanting them to put a major title on Pac since he got to AEW because I wanted him to have one in WWE. And I feel like the guy fucking deserves it. And so I honestly I didn't believe that Pac was going to win, but my heart wanted him to win that match. And I want him to get a push so bad. So when I think about what you just presented storyline-wise with Eddie Kingston, as great as Claudio is, that would be an epic moment for Eddie Kingston, especially to do it in Arthur Ashe Stadium, like, basically his hometown.
That would be something. That would be
that
something.
The crowd would pop huge for Eddie Kingston if he won.
I'm telling you. I think that would be probably the best route to go. That would be probably one of the most heartfelt.
I'd probably do it then wait till Final Battle, to be honest with you, because I feel like this whole Blackpool Combat Club stuff that's now going on in AEW, like, at this point, does Claudio need... I know why he got the belt. That was like this has been a long time coming. You've deserved this like years ago type of deal. And he's had a decent lengthy run with it, in my opinion. So him losing the title is not going to it's not going to drop his stock whatsoever. Plus he's got all this stuff going.
At Arthur Ashe, he would have held it for about 284 days exact.
That's great. That's good. Nobody can be not every champion can be a Roman Reigns and have a 3-year reign. So, They gave him his
I'm
flowers.
glad that he
And
got it, though. I'm glad that Claudio got this reign, though.
I am too. And I think that it's a feather under his cap now that he can use to build himself up more under the AEW brand, and where they decide to take him with this whole Blackpool Combat Club scenario. So I'm with you. I would do it at Arthur Ashe.
So from there, we go into the main event. It was Athena versus Willow Nightingale, Ring of Honor Women's World Championship. And these two women, and you know what I loved about this match the most? People are so quick to just force this equality agenda. Oh, you got to give all these women all these fucking equal opportunities and shit. And they're just trying to force this shit in pro wrestling. So much so that I actually don't want to see it because it doesn't come off as natural. You know what I loved about this? It wasn't forced. It wasn't pushed with an agenda. It didn't have any narrative behind it. It didn't. You know what it had behind it? Storytelling, pro wrestling, and a motto to build new stars. That's what this match had, and that's why this match was worthy of the main event. So let's go over what happened here. So Athena, she had a great entrance with these huge wings and red lighting. She looked fucking amazing. Crowd was heavily behind Willow. Very evenly matched early on. Athena took over with a back suplex on the apron. Athena just wore down Willow. Willow then with a pounce out of nowhere. She mounted a comeback with a spine buster for a 2. Athena got Willow up in a Canadian backbreaker into a code breaker. Willow kicked out. Both women, they were on the apron again. Athena went to the floor. Willow with a cross body off the apron to Athena onto the floor. Shotgun drop kick by Athena. Athena then drove her knees into the steps. Willow then with a cannonball against the steel steps and Athena. So Athena was fucking crushed between the steel steps and a Willow Nightingale. Back in the ring, Athena took over again with a standing moonsault. Willow rolled through and delivered a rolling, swinging neck breaker for a 2. Athena with a Hurricane Rana. Willow with a deadlift butterfly suplex for a 2. Athena then channeled her inner LA Knight, and delivered a BFT onto Willow. Willow kicked out. Crowd was chanting, "This is awesome." Willow then with a swinging neck breaker. She was on the ropes in the corner. Athena, you know how MJF does the heat seeker within the ropes? Willow was tied up on the middle rope with her legs spread out, and Athena put Willow's head in her crotch area, and she jumped backwards with Willow in a pedigree-like position and delivered a heat seeker out of the corner. Willow got spiked. Athena then with a deadlift sit-out powerbomb. Willow, no small woman. Athena with a deadlift sit-out powerbomb, and Willow kicked out again. Willow then was on the middle rope, and Willow delivered a Death Valley driver off the middle rope. Another close 2 count. Crowd was chanting "Fight Forever." Both women were on the outside. Athena then slammed Willow onto the floor, threw her into the steps, back in the ring, delivered a picture-perfect O-face. Picture-perfect O-face. 1, 2, Willow kicked out of the O-face. And I believe she's the first woman to do so since Asuka in 2017. So at that point, I'm like, all right, Willow's got to win. Willow's got to win after that. So Athena, shocked, Willow then took advantage and she hit the gut-wrench powerbomb, the doctor bomb. I thought that was it. 1, 2, Athena kicked out. Athena then, after kicking out, delivered a second O-face and then locked in a crossface. Willow tried to fight. She was trying to wiggle and squirm. Willow passed out, and the ref called it, and Athena wins. An excellent main event. And again, people were complaining about the ending. I don't know what the fuck you were complaining about, because we just got an excellent 20-minute match with two women who right now are two of the best talents under Tony Khan. Willow was protected, and above all else, this sets up one final match. And it will culminate, I do believe, at Final Battle with Willow Nightingale finally beating Athena and winning the Ring of Honor Women's World Championship. That's number one. Now, the thing that everyone was wondering is why this match got the main event. I didn't mind this match being in the main event for a couple of reasons. Number one, Athena right now is fucking phenomenal. Athena right now, and we were talking about this before we went live, Athena right now is the best women's champion in the industry, bar none. She's better than Tiffany Stratton. She's better than Trinity. She's better than Asuka. She's better than Rhea Ripley, no matter how you look at it. She is the best women's champion in the industry. I don't want to hear a peep out of anyone. And on top of that, she's having a reign that we haven't seen since the likes of Shayna Baszler in NXT. We never see a dominating women's reign like this. So the fact that she's been on such a great fucking reign, such a phenomenal, dominant fucking reign, like an unstoppable reign, so to speak, like a Roman Reigns type of reign where you feel like no one's going to fucking beat her. She is more than deserving of a main event spot. And on top of that, what this also did, this continued the push of Willow Nightingale. You can shit on Tony Khan all you want, but the one thing that Tony Khan knows how to do, he knows how to create new stars. And Willow will be the next new star that is created. So the fact that these two women got the main event, it rose their stock up a level. It rose their stock up a level, and that is what made this match so good. And then on top of that, as good as Claudio and Pac was, and I always say that the world title should main event, I don't mind it not being in the main event this time, because as good as the match was with Claudio and Pac, it was merely just a setup match. This was a setup match that was to give us a little preview for what was to come between the Death Triangle and the Blackpool Combat Club. This was the takeoff match for Blackpool Combat Club versus Death Triangle going into the rest of the summer. There was actual story and heat between Willow and Athena. So them being in the main event, I had no problem with it. And I cannot shit on Athena taking the win here. I thought they were going to give it to Willow at some point, but I'm not complaining about Athena, because the longer she holds that championship, the more prestigious it's going to get. And when Willow, who I do believe will finally beat her, when Willow beats her, it's going to make the win that much more special. So I didn't mind it. I didn't mind it at all. This was an excellent match. And Athena, best women's champion in the industry, bar none.
I was explaining to you before the show, this is the one match I did not get a chance to see, unfortunately. I tried all day today trying to figure out a way to watch it. I'm not sure what was up with the feed I was trying to find the match on today, because normally it works. But a couple of things I'll say, even though I didn't get to see the match. This was the one that I figured, since it was the main event, I thought, okay, predictable outcome. Everything that Willow Nightingale's been doing. There's a lot of wrestle talk on the TikTok app. I primarily use YouTube and Twitter for my wrestling content, but I've recently spent some time on the TikTok app, and a lot of the females on TikTok, Willow Nightingale's getting all kinds of love from a lot of people, and rightfully so, more so than I was aware of, and up until recently. And so when I find out that this is the main event, I'm thinking, okay, Willow's gonna win the title and beat Athena. So the fact that she didn't, when I learned that she didn't win, I was kind of like, oh, okay, that's surprising. But then, as you and I discussed earlier, like, there could be a number of reasons why they did that. Anybody, like, just typical IWC dipshits, right? Like, got to find a problem where there isn't one to be found. How can anybody be mad after some of the? It's almost like WWE now will just throw in women's main events because it's like the norm for them to do now, because they had to be the first ones to do a women's main event and blah 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 blah. And a lot of the women main events that we get are not. If you have ever watched an Athena or a Willow Nightingale match, you should already know hearing that match is being the main event. That shouldn't be a problem to anybody whatsoever. You should automatically know that Willow Nightingale hits pretty stiff for being a female, more so than her looks give her credit for. You would not expect her. Athena's is also another stiff worker, but she kind of has that look about her. Like, it doesn't surprise you when you see her get in the ring and do the kind of work she does. Willow Nightingale looks like the sweetest girl you'd ever meet, and then
she looks like you wouldn't hurt a fucking fly.
Yeah, and she just seems like such a nice, kind. Like, if you were to talk to her, she probably has a nice, sweet little bubbly voice, and then she gets in that ring, and you're like, oh god damn.
And you don't want to fuck with Willow when it comes to...
No, definitely not. So even the fact that I haven't seen the match, hearing that people had a problem with it going over the men,
and people had more of a problem with the ending too. I don't know what the fuck they were complaining about. It was a great ending.
I can see people having a problem with the ending because that's how over Willow Nightingale is right now. Like, she is so beyond over.
Listen. This is not a Cody Rhodes Roman Reigns scenario.
No.
Because unlike Cody, Willow will finish her story.
True, and that's funny. That's funny that you said that. And real quick before you finish up, you alluded to the fact that you had an idea for a trios team to take the titles off of the Embassy. Who is that? The Best Friends in Orange Cassidy? Is that who you're talking about?
No, the Dark Order.
Oh, the Dark Order. Okay, I didn't hear you say that earlier, so I've been waiting this whole time for you to talk about that trios title.
Yeah,
but
I was talking about before, the Dark Order, they are your new trios champions for Ring of Honor when the time is right.
Yeah, I got you. Okay.
Willow Nightingale, she will absolutely be the woman to beat Athena. I can't complain that Athena walked out victorious because, again, we don't normally see a reign like Athena. We don't normally see a reign where it's just so dominant by a women's professional wrestler. It's a rarity. Like, I can't even remember the last time we saw it before Shayna Baszler.
Asuka.
There you go. And then before Asuka, I can't remember shit.
Yeah. Here's a scenario for you really quick. Do you think that it's possible, because Willow is so over, even though she got the main event spot with Athena for the women's title in ROH, I'm just wondering, because she's hit, even though she didn't win, that's still a milestone. That's still a feather in your cap as a wrestler to main event a pay-per-view show, right? For a major for the company's major title. So just because she didn't win doesn't bother me in the least bit. And I'm wondering if, like you said, that there's going to be, like, this feud isn't over, but I'm wondering if they just bypass the ROH title with Willow and get her in the mix with, like, a Jamie Hayter or a Chris Statlander here very shortly.
I can't see that happening. Not yet. If anything, Hayter is the one to beat Toni Storm at All In her hometown, and Hayter's going to get her win back there. And after they get past that, Hayter's going to hold that title, and she's going to pick up right where she left off. She shouldn't be losing that title. But Willow's a different story. Willow, I can't really see her fitting into AEW television right now. However, when Willow beats Athena, I can absolutely see Athena being the woman to beat Chris Statlander for the TBS championship. And Athena does the same thing with the TBS championship that she did with the Ring of Honor women's championship.
I can see that.
That would be big. But overall, I would say Death Before Dishonor, man, not better than last year's Death Before Dishonor, but in the end, it was a damn good pay-per-view. Damn good pay-per-view, and I can't really complain all too much. Little things here and there that was not too fond for my liking, but in the end, Death Before Dishonor, very good wrestling show, and it continued Tony Khan's momentum throughout the summer, and this has been the best summer for Tony Khan thus far. So I'm looking forward to what comes in the future for Ring of Honor at their next show, and I look forward to seeing Eddie Kingston being crowned world champion. I look forward to see Willow Nightingale's coronation and Mark Briscoe's coronation when he gets back from injury.
Facts. Solid show.
It's going to be a good one, man. Solid show for sure. But ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up the Rewind. We're closing in at 2 hours and 20 minutes. Thank you very much for tuning into the show. Thank you to Jeremy Lewis. Thank you to Danielle. Thank you to Billy Wolf. Thank you to James Punaseca, Dylan, Sarah Hapka, and many, many others. HooliGrim, thank you very much for stopping by. I understand that you're not in the best place right now with what's going on in life, but I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to come on and talk some wrestling with me. And it was a fun time, man. Can't wait to have you back on the channel very soon.
Thank you, brother. I always have a good time talking wrestling with you. It means a lot that you even considered me to be on your show. Yeah, I ran into a couple of snags regarding the pay-per-view that I wasn't anticipating. I do want to just shout out Jeremy Lewis real quick. I saw your message about the link you sent me. I appreciate that. I'll check it out after we're done here. And then also hi to Sarah, because Sarah's awesome. And we go back and forth a little bit on Twitter. So I just wanted to say hi to her because I didn't get to at the beginning of the show. So thank you, my friend.
Time, man, before we get out of here, where can everybody find you on social media?
They can find me on Twitter at HooliGrim, spelled who like who are you, WHO_LA_Grim.
You already know the drill with me, man. Like, comment, subscribe, follow me on all platforms, social media. Links are down below. Rundown for NXT Great American Bash with the Bicky coming to you guys on Thursday. LFU on Saturday. We are back to the grind. DJ Storms is back in full swing after my little vacay to Austin, Texas. And I'm taking over the IWC all over again. Just when you thought I was done, the cat came back. I just couldn't stay away. Ladies and gentlemen, he's HooliGrim. I'm DJ Storms. This has been The Rewind. But before we get out of here, the question that everyone must answer and everyone must understand, HooliGrim, who runs the IWC?
It's a good question. I might have to think about that for a while.
No, you don't.
DJ motherfucking Storms, baby.
You're damn right. Who but DJ motherfucking Storms? And don't you forget it.
'Cause we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Yeah, we ran out of patience for your love with the